Hello, and welcome back to our podcast. I'm the Disturbed Southern Belle.
And I'm the gentleman.
This week we're going to be finishing up talking about England, basically, in the UK. We're going to be talking about some of the most haunted places in the UK. The majority of them are around England and things like that, Britain, but there are a few that are in some other areas. So the first place we're going to talk about is the Tower of London. Now, this is probably one of the most famously known things from England. Everyone has probably, at the very least, heard of it. It was founded towards the end of 1066 as part of the Norman Conquest, so it's been around for a long time. The main part of it is called the White Tower, which gives the entire castle its official name. That's where it gets the name the London Tower. And it was built by William the Conqueror in 1078 and was essentially, it was seen as a symbol of oppression that was inflicted on London by the new Norman ruling class. So when they first built it, it wasn't seen as a good thing, basically. It was also used as a prison from 1100 to 1952, so a good time too. It was long time. And of course it has a reputation of being a grim fortress and a place of torture and execution. Most people have probably heard of different things that have happened there, executions. Even some of the ones who are executed are still thought to be roaming it, basically, which I guess so. So, some fun facts about it. It also houses the crown jewels. And the tradition is said to have started during the reign of Henry III, who reigned between 1216 to 1272. So you can actually go to the tower and see the jewel house and look at the crown, the scepter, and everything that is basically the sign of royalty for England. So that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
As you can imagine, it's heavily guarded, of course. It's not something that you can just mosey into. The walls of it, in fact, are so deep that no one has ever been able to escape. They're basically, concrete or whatever, bricks, whatever you want to call it, and they're very, very thick. Also, it used to be a zoo.
That's interesting and just completely out of the blue.
It is. So they used to keep wild animals there, and there's evidence that this started during the time of King John, who reigned during 1166 to 1216, and he was thought to be the first that did this. And there are even records that they found between 1210 and 1212 that show payments to lion keepers. So he actually had lions there.
Interesting.
And they also have some other cats, or they did, a lion, a lynx, different cats, jackals, hyenas, and a brown bear named Max that was gifted to Henry VIII by Emperor Maximilian. So that's actually cool, and I didn't even know that they used to keep animals there. That was actually something new that I learned, so that's actually neat.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Now, of course, it doesn't go on any longer, but, and they did move a lot of the animals at one point to an actual zoo, but, that's actually kind of cool that you think something like that. Which I guess, it would be a good thing to keep them in. It's very hard to get out of, so,
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about some of the ghosts that have been reported in the tower. Now, there's many, but we're going to talk about some of the more famous ones. So, most famous one's probably Anne Boleyn. And anyone who doesn't know her, she was basically the wife of Henry VIII. And she was beheaded in 1536 for treason against him. And it's said that her ghost haunts the Church of St. Peter ad Brugula, and I hope I'm saying that right, in the tower where she is buried. And she's said to walk around the White Tower carrying her head under her arm. So, I don't know that I'd want to see her ghost.
Nope.
Other ghosts that are said to have been seen here include Henry VI, Lady Jane Grey, Margaret Pole, and the princess in the tower, which are the princes, like two princes, in the tower, which refers to the mysterious fate of the deposed King Edward V and his younger brother, Prince Richard of Shrewsbury. There have also been reports of seeing a tubular, glowing apparition in the jewel house that nobody knows what it is, but several people have said they've seen it.
Totally tubular.
Yeah, and so it doesn't actually have a form. It's just kind of an apparition that looks like a tube, I guess. That's what I would, but anyway. So another thing that is housed at the Tower of London is the ravens. And there's also a raven master there he actually takes care of them and everything to make sure that they, are well taken care of. And the reason for this is it's believed that if the ravens ever leave the tower, the monarchy will fall. So they even go so far as to clip their wings so that they cannot fully fly away. They can fly around a little, but they can't really get a lot of height or whatever.
Perfectly logical.
Right. Now, whether that's true, who knows? They're not taking any chances. Let's put it that way. So they're keeping the ravens.
Can't say I blame them.
Right.
I've learned not to take prophecies too lightly.
Right. Exactly. Who knows? I mean, you never know what might go down. So it's always better to be safe than sorry, as they say. Also, the tower is where one of the oldest military ceremonies in the world takes place every night. Every night, the tower gates are locked at precisely 9:53 p.m. And the chief warder is accompanied by an armed escort of the King's Guards, now used to be the Queen's Guards, of course, where they lock all the gates, carrying a lantern in one hand and the King's keys in another. This ritual is continued for over 700 years without fail. It went on even throughout the Great London Fire, the Plague, and both World Wars. So that's pretty cool, too.
That's dedication.
That is dedication, so that tells you something else.
That's the definition of dedication.
It definitely is. So that's actually, pretty cool, too. I didn't realize that they did that. I'm not exactly sure why it's every night at precisely 9:53 p.m. I didn't see anything specific on that, but every night, that's kind of cool. All right. So now we're just going to talk about some general locations that are just considered some of the most haunted locations in the UK. So the first one is called Pluckley Village, and it's located in Ashford, Kent. And it's considered to be one of the most haunted places in England. And it was once even named the most haunted village in Britain in the Guinness Book of World Records in 1989. So that's actually pretty cool.
That is very cool.
And, so there has to be some stuff going on. You would think they'd have to have seen something or some kind of proof. I don't know if they just based it on how many reportings there were of seeing something or, what. I don't know. But, I didn't even know there was such a record in the Guinness Book of World Records. So,
there's a record for everything.
Right. So that's pretty neat, too. Okay, so there is believed to be between 12 to 16 ghosts that reside in this village. And one of the best known is called the Watercress Woman. And witnesses reported seeing her on the Pennock Bridge smoking her pipe. And she's said to be an elderly woman that lived in the village and made her living gathering and selling watercress. And it said that one evening after drinking, she fell asleep and her pipe dropped onto her clothing and she was consumed by the flames. So that's actually...
That's some pretty flammable clothing.
Yeah, it is. Now, I don't know how long it laid there or what, I don't know. But that's pretty sad, too. It's not a nice way to die. But
no, it is not.
She's believed to haunt the Pennock Bridge, and some witnesses have even said that they saw a faint pink glow which hovers in the air above the spot where she died. So she's like one of the most famous known there, and she's the one that most people probably have heard of. I don't know how old she was. It just said she was an older woman, but yeah, she doesn't sound like she had a very nice death. So I mean, I guess I can kind of see her not being ready to move on, so to speak.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so next is Blickling Hall in Norwich. And it was once voted the most haunted house in Britain. And ironically enough, it was once home to the Boleyn family. So Anne Boleyn herself was said to have been born here. It's said that on the 19th of May, which is the anniversary of her death, she returns to Blickling Hall. She is said to arrive in a headless horse-drawn carriage, so the horses have no head, and she's dressed all in white, and she glides into the hall, roaming the halls until the sun comes up.
Headless horsewoman.
Yeah, right. So a member of staff working at the hall has reported seeing the figure of a woman reading a book in the library, and then when he tried to approach her, she disappeared. So they checked to see what book the woman was reading, and it was a book that was open to a page that contained a painting of Anne Boleyn. So I don't know if it was supposed to be her reading about her or looking pictures. I don't know. But it's also claimed that Sir Henry Hobart also haunts the halls. He was the owner in the 1600s, and he is said to have died from wounds sustained during a duel. And one warden of the property reported that their dog would not enter the room that he died in, but would stand at the doorway with its hackles up. So like it could see somebody in there, and he couldn't see anything. So they say dogs can see and sense things like that, so maybe that's what's going on. Don't know, but that's kind of freaky.
It is.
And so, yeah. And it's kind of weird to think, Anne Boleyn comes there in a headless, horse-drawn carriage. That'd be freaky to see, too, in my opinion. But
it is strange. Like, why a headless, horse-drawn carriage?
I don't know. I mean, I have no clue why, that would be, whatever. But, whatever. The next place we're going to talk about is called Pendle Hall, and it's located in Lancashire. And it's said to be haunted by the spirits of women that were accused of witchcraft, then found guilty and executed. They were buried there overlooking the village of Newchurch, and they're also said to haunt the villages that lie in the hill's shadow. So they move around. So basically any village that's in that shadow of that hill, they haunt that too. And my guess is they were probably falsely accused because, and whatever. So, yeah. Not something that we definitely have not heard of, unfortunately. That's something that went on a lot during those times. A lot of people were, definitely wrongfully accused, so to speak.
Yeah, common joke for me around here is, I don't like this woman. She's a witch.
Yeah, really.
Kill her.
And that's pretty much what it was. I mean, they could just get mad at someone and accuse them, and, the tests that they have to prove they weren't witches
would have killed them anyway.
Yeah, a lot of them. I mean, tie them up and throw them in the water. If they drown, they're good. If they can, whatever. I mean, it's stupid, whatever.
Well, it's a bit late now.
Exactly. So, I mean, who cares? You're dead anyway. So, the next place is called the Ancient Ram Inn, and it's in Gloucestershire. And it was built in 1145, and it's said to be built on top of 2 ancient ley lines that are believed to draw spiritual energy directly from Stonehenge. Now,
I've heard of that, yeah.
Why they would choose to build this on top of ley lines, I don't know.
I think that's another thing that's referenced in Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Right. It's, I don't know. Maybe they didn't know they were there. Maybe they did it for a reason. I have no clue. But it's said that that's part of the appeal to ghosts and things. So people are reported seeing, things like feeling freezing temperatures and hearing creaks that make no sense. Now, I'm guessing if this thing was built in 1145, it would be pretty creaky, you would think, to settle it and stuff. But, I mean, I don't know. They say that, you hear weird noises and all kinds of stuff. There's also been numerous ghost sightings, but one of the most famous is that of a woman that was believed to be a witch in the 1500s. And she took refuge at the inn to escape the witch hunts, and she was eventually captured, and many people believe that her spirit still haunts the room she stayed in.
I can't say I blame any of those spirits that were accused of being witches. I can't say I blame them for haunting these places.
No.
It's kind of just, in my eyes.
It definitely is in some. I mean, some of these is sad. A lot of these people, were... I mean, during that time, it was ridiculous. I mean, like, you didn't have enough to worry about just living in general because, you really didn't have any medical care or anything like that. So, I mean, a scratch, you could die.
Yeah.
So, to have someone chasing you down saying you're a witch for literally no reason whatsoever is kind of dumb. But, I mean, it happened all the time. All over the world. I mean, even in the U.S. with the famous Salem witch trials, and anyone who's read up on those know how silly they are when you actually read, the things these people were accused of. They were basically just trying to blame somebody for stuff that no one had a hand in. Bad crops. Oh, well, a witch, cast a spell on us. Cow's milk went sour. Oh, it's got to be a witch. It's stupid. It really is. It's very silly. But, that's the way it was back then. So the next place is called Chillingham Castle, which really kind of has a spooky name if you kind of think about it. So, and it's located in Northumberland, and it was originally built as a stronghold in the 12th century, and it was attacked due to its crucial position on the border of Northumberland. And one of the most notable ghosts there is called the White Pantry Ghost, which is a ghost of a frail figure in white that appears in the pantry begging for water. Which is really kind of sad. I mean, that probably means somebody suffered before they died. I mean, it sort of sounds like maybe someone died of dehydration or something now if they're begging for water. And there's a story of the ghost that appeared to a footman that was guarding the pantry. And he was locked inside the pantry. And this ghost appeared to him as a woman dressed in white who begged him for some water, and he assumed that she was just a guest of the castle, but when he went to get her some water, he found that he was still locked inside the pantry, and nobody could have got in there with him, and the woman had disappeared. So he saw her as a woman. Other people just say it's a frail figure in general, so I'm not really sure if it's a man or a woman. I guess it really doesn't matter at that, on that, but that actually sounds kind of sad. That sounds like maybe someone who died, maybe locked in that pantry and couldn't get out and couldn't get any water or something like that. So that one is actually pretty sad. So the next one is called the Barry Pomeroy Castle, and it's located in Devon. And there's supposed to be two female spirits that are said to haunt the halls, the Blue Lady and the White Lady. The White Lady is believed to be the spirit of Margaret Pomeroy, who fell in love with the same man as her sister, Lady Eleanor. Lady Eleanor became so jealous that she imprisoned Margaret in the castle's dungeons until basically she died, and she is said to still haunt them to this day. So, perfectly justifiable there, just lock your sister in a dungeon until they die, whatever. Whether or not they were feeding her, I don't know. Don't know why nobody would have been looking for her or could have found her. Have no clue about that, but anyway, that's pretty sad too. Now, the Blue Lady is thought to also be a member of the Pomeroy family, and she appears dressed in a long blue cape, and then she attempts to lure people to her aid in the castle's tower, and then pushes them to their death. And visitors have reported hearing a woman's cry near the tower and seeing a glowing blue light. So if you're over there by that tower and you see a blue light, or you hear a woman crying up in the tower, it's probably best not to head up in there, because she doesn't sound like she's too nice. Now, why she doesn't...
General rule of thumb, just ignore anybody asking for help if you can't see them.
I guess so, yeah, because, I don't guess there's much you can do. And, there's pictures of it, and the towers out front are, they look to be pretty high. So, if they push you out of there, or push you off of it, I don't see you living. So,
if you do, you are not going to live long.
No, or you're going to be pretty messed up. So, I would not suggest going there either. The next one is also in Lancashire, and it's called the Samlesbury Hall, and it's believed to be haunted by a collection of ghosts, and most notably, again, is called the White Lady. And she is thought to, and this one is actually kind of sad too. She's thought to be Dorothy Southworth, who was a former resident, and the story goes that Dorothy would have to meet her beloved in secret due to their differing religions. Now, I don't know what their religions were or whatever, but they had different religions, and back then
I was about to say, honestly, it doesn't really matter, because in that time, if either of them weren't really Christian, I think, was the big thing at that point, they would have been very, very much not welcome in that society.
Now, I don't know if maybe both of them were Christians and just different types, like one's Catholic, one's Protestant. I don't know, the whole thing. I'm not sure, or maybe one of them wasn't even Christian. Who knows? But anyway, they decided to secretly elope, but their relationship was discovered by Dorothy's family, and Dorothy's husband-to-be was ambushed by her brother and killed, and then she was banished to a convent abroad where they said she died of a broken heart. And several witnesses have reported seeing her within the halls and grounds. So that's sad too. It's kind of senseless when you think about it, because it's really dumb, but, I guess that stuff probably happened a lot back then, really, in all actuality, but So, the next one is called Corfe Castle, and it's in Dorset. And it's basically a ruined fortress, and it can be found on the Dorset countryside. It sits on a hillside overlooking the charming village of Corfe, and I hope that's spelled, I'm saying that right, Corfe. I don't know if that's how I say it or not, but anyway.
I always thought it was Corfe,
but it could be Corfe, it could be Corfe, I don't know. But anyway, the castle itself dates back to Norman times, and its construction was begun by William the Conqueror. Like we said, he did the Tower of London, so he went ahead and made this too. And the most famous specter here is the Woman in White.
Jesus Christ.
Now, not the White Lady this time, just the Woman in White. and she's been spotted on the bridge leading up to the castle. There's no real overall consensus on who the woman is. Some believe it's the spirit of a young woman who betrayed the castle and its inhabitants during the Civil War. The woman is believed to have betrayed the royalist Banks family to the enemies. Don't really know if that's who she is or not. Nobody really knows, but there's other ghosts and things people have seen there, including like lights coming on in the dead of night and phantom cries of a child. I mean, just all kinds of weird stuff going on here. And I guess so. I mean, it's really old, so yeah, I can definitely see a lot of craziness going on here. The next place is called Buckland Abbey, and it's located in Devon. Now, it's kind of a wooded estate and gardens, and it was originally built as a monastery, but it was disbanded by Henry VIII, and then it was purchased by Sir Francis Drake from his great rival, Sir Richard Greenville. At this time, Drake had just returned from his 3-year voyage around the world and was widely considered a hero. So, he comes back, he's a hero and whatever, so he buys this monastery. I mean, I don't really know.
Why not?
But, it doesn't really seem like it'd be set up much like a house, but whatever. Okay, so a lot of the people around this time, though, they feared Drake and believed that he had made a deal with the devil to defeat the Spanish Armada. Now, I have no clue why. I don't know why they believe that.
This just reminds me of one of the Uncharted games. Because Francis Drake and those, like, monsters.
Right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. So maybe he did. Maybe he did make a deal with the devil. I don't know.
Maybe that was the inspiration behind those resin monsters.
Could have been. So, another thing that happened is when he purchased the abbey, it said that the renovations only lasted 3 days, which they also believed was the devil's work. Now, it could be that he really didn't do much in there. I mean, I don't know how much these renovations really were, what he did. I mean, they could have hung a bookshelf. I don't know how many renovations went on, but, they believe that, this man is with the devil. So, his ghost is believed to haunt Buckland Abbey and is doomed to ride across Dartmoor, which is part of where it's at. And he rides in a black coach that is also driven by headless horses, led by chattering goblins.
Okay.
Now, don't ask me. I don't know why all these horses are headless. Don't know. This must have been a time where beheading horses was a big thing or something or whatever. I don't know. Where the chattering goblins come into play, I don't know. I guess the devil sent them up there to make sure the headless horses don't fall off the bridge, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. But anyway, the property is now owned by a national trust, so visitors can, witness the famous drum that belonged to Sir Francis. The drum is said to host his spirit, and it's supposed to sound whenever England is in danger. And the last time the drum was supposed to have sounded was prior to the beginning of the First World War. So, I guess England's not in danger right now, or either that or he just don't care anymore. I'm not sure which, but anyway, you can go there if you want to see that drum, and I guess hope it don't sound while you're there, because it doesn't mean good things. So the last place we're going to talk about is called the Felbrigg Hall Estate, and it's located in Norwich, Norfolk, and it is sitting on grounds that stretch 1,700 acres. There are stories of spirits haunting the area around it. Paranormal sightings are mainly focused on former resident William Wyndham III. William was well known for his passion for books, and when a fire broke out in his friend's library in 1809, William risked his life to rescue some of the precious volumes from going up in flames. But unfortunately, he was badly injured in a fall during the rescue and died from his injuries a few weeks later. So, I mean,
that's kind of sad.
It is kind of sad, and it's kind of sad the way, that he was, saving books. I mean, I'm not saying, there's anything wrong with that per se, but, it's kind of sad. His ghost is said to regularly visit the Grand Gothic Library at Felbrigg to read the books that he hadn't been able to read during his life. And staff working at Thalberg have reportedly seen William sitting at the table in the library with his favorite book in front of him or relaxing by reading in a chair. So he still loves books, and thank God he wasn't like the man on the Twilight Zone who only wanted to read, and then at the end of the world, when he finally had time to do it, he ended up breaking his glasses and then couldn't read anymore. So those are some of the most notable places. There's many, many, many others, of course. I mean, England,
you could fill a book.
Yeah, it's an old country,
as many haunted
there's
places
a ton.
as there are.
Exactly, there are a ton. I just wanted to hit up on some of the high points of them. Next week, we're going to be going to Australia and discussing some of the folklore and things about that. If there's anything you're interested in specific in Australia that you'd like us to cover, just let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and don't forget to
stay disturbed.